I missed one phone call, just one. People always say one moment can't change your life. They are wrong. Sometimes your whole future depends on a single ring you never answer. My name is Daniel. I'm 38 years old. And until that Friday evening, I thought I had everything under control. I had a steady job as an accountant, a small house outside Manchester, a wife named Emma, and our 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Life wasn't exciting, but it felt safe. I believed tomorrow would always look like today. That afternoon, I was buried in paperwork. My phone buzzed once on my desk. I glanced at the screen and saw Emma's name. "I'll call her back in 10 minutes, I whispered. 10 minutes became 20. Then a meeting started. By the time I finally reached for my phone, I had 3 missed calls from Emma and 1 from an unknown number. I smiled, thinking she probably needed me to pick up groceries. I couldn't have been more wrong. As I stepped outside the office, my phone rang again. It was the unknown number. "Is this Daniel Harper?" A calm voice asked. "Yes. This is Sergeant Collins from Greater Manchester Police. Your wife and daughter have been involved in a serious road accident." Everything around me disappeared. The traffic, the people, even my own breathing. I don't remember dropping my briefcase. I don't remember getting into the taxi. I only remember asking the same question over and over. "Are they alive?" The officer didn't answer immediately. That silence told me more than words ever could. When I reached the hospital, the waiting room felt colder than winter. A nurse walked toward me with tired eyes. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harper." Those 4 words shattered my world. Emma didn't survive. Lily was alive, but unconscious. The doctor explained that Emma had tried calling me because the brakes on the car had failed. She was frightened and didn't know what to do. She called me 3 times. I answered none of them. For weeks, I blamed myself. If I had answered, could I have told her to pull the handbrake? Could I have reminded her about the emergency lane? Could I have kept her calm? Maybe, maybe not. But guilt doesn't care about facts. It only whispers one sentence. What if? Every single day. For the next 6 weeks, the hospital became my second home. Lily never spoke. She stared at the ceiling for hours, as if she were waiting for someone to walk through the door. Every morning I forced a smile before entering her room. Every night I cried in the hospital parking lot where no one could see me. The doctor said she would recover physically. They weren't sure about her heart. Children understand loss differently. They don't always ask questions. Sometimes they simply stop smiling. One afternoon, Lily finally looked at me. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Dad." I rushed to her bedside. "I'm here." She looked into my eyes for a long moment before asking the question I had feared the most. Why didn't Mom come back? My mouth opened, but no words came out. How do you explain forever to an 8-year-old? I held her hand and cried with her. A week later, we returned home. The house felt painfully quiet. Emma's favorite mug was still on the kitchen shelf. Her shoes were still by the front door. Her jacket still hung on the coat rack. I couldn't bring myself to move any of it. It felt wrong, as if packing away her things meant admitting she was never coming back. At night, I couldn't sleep. I replayed those missed calls over and over. 3 chances, 3 rings, 3 moments that haunted me every single day. Then, one evening, while sorting through Emma's belongings, I found her phone. The battery was dead. I almost put it away. Instead, I charged it. When it finally turned on, hundreds of photos filled the screen. Pictures of Lily laughing, family holidays, birthday cakes, ordinary moments I had forgotten. Then I noticed something unusual. There was a voice recording. It had been created only 23 minutes before the accident. My hands started shaking. I pressed play. Emma's voice filled the silent room. Soft, calm, but frightened. "Daniel, if you're listening to this later, I can't reach you. I don't know what's happening with the car. The brakes don't feel right. Maybe I'm overreacting. I hope I am." She paused. I could hear Lily singing quietly in the background. Then Emma laughed. "If this turns out to be nothing, you'll probably tease me for panicking." A few seconds of silence followed. Then her voice changed. It became serious. "I just want you to know, no matter what happens, you've been a wonderful husband and an amazing father." My heart stopped. The recording wasn't over yet. I couldn't breathe. My finger hovered over the pause button, but I couldn't press it. I needed to hear the rest, even though every second felt like a knife. Emma took a slow breath. "If you're hearing this, then something probably went wrong." There was another pause. "I don't want you blaming yourself." Tears blurred my vision. She knew me better than anyone. She knew exactly what I would do. She knew I would spend the rest of my life wondering what would have happened if I had answered. "Daniel," she continued, "please don't let one missed phone call become your whole life. Promise me you'll take care of Lily. She needs you more than she needs. Perfect answers. A loud horn echoed through the recording. Emma gasped. Lily? Sweetheart, hold on. There was the sound of tires scraping against the road. Then, silence. The recording ended. I sat on the living room floor for what felt like hours. That night, I listened to her voice again, and again, and again. Not because I wanted to relive the pain, but because I was terrified of forgetting the sound of her voice. The next morning, Lily walked into the kitchen holding one of Emma's old sweaters. She hugged it tightly. It still smells like Mom, she whispered. I knelt beside her and wrapped my arms around her. For the first time since the accident, we cried together instead of alone. The weeks slowly turned into months. Life kept moving, even though I wished it would stop. I returned to work. People smiled politely. They said things like, "You'll be okay," or "Time heals everything." They meant well, but they were wrong. Time doesn't erase grief. It simply teaches you how to carry it. One rainy evening, as I emptied the mailbox, I noticed a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper. 3 words. It wasn't accidental. My hands froze. Someone had written those words in black ink. No signature, no explanation, just a message that turned everything I believed upside down. If the crash wasn't an accident, then what really happened? I read the note at least 20 times. It wasn't accidental. The handwriting was neat, almost careful, as if the person wanted to be taken seriously. I checked the envelope again. No name, no return address, no fingerprints that I could see. Just a stamp and my address. For 2 days I told myself it was a cruel joke. Someone trying to hurt a grieving family. But the words refused to leave my mind. On Monday morning, I walked into the local police station carrying the letter. Sergeant Collins recognized me immediately. He listened quietly as I placed the envelope on his desk. When he finished reading it, he leaned back in his chair. "We investigated the crash thoroughly," he said. "The report concluded it was caused by brake failure." "So that's it?" I asked. "You won't even question this?" "We will document it," he replied. "But anonymous letters aren't evidence." I left feeling more frustrated than before. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about the accident. Something didn't feel right anymore. Emma was careful. She never ignored warning lights. She serviced the car on time. She always checked everything before long drives. So how could the brakes suddenly fail? The next day, I called the garage that had serviced her car just 1 week before the accident. The manager searched their records. "Yes," he said. "Your wife's vehicle passed every inspection. We found nothing wrong with the braking system." I felt my stomach tighten. If the brakes were fine a week earlier, what changed? There was a long pause. "I'm sorry," he said. "I can't answer that." That night, I opened my laptop and began reading every document the police had given me. After the crash, most of it was technical language I barely understood. Then one sentence caught my eye. "Brake fluid contamination suspected after impact." Suspected? Not confirmed. I kept reading. Another line mentioned that the fire following the crash had destroyed key mechanical evidence, which meant no one could prove exactly what had happened or what had been done to the car before the accident. For the first time since Emma died, I felt something stronger than grief. I felt suspicion. And deep inside, a terrifying thought began to grow. What if someone hadn't just taken my family away? What if someone had planned it? That night, I couldn't sleep. I spread every document across the dining table. Police reports, insurance papers, garage receipts, and Emma's notebook. I wasn't looking for anything specific anymore. I was just hoping something would make sense. Around 2 in the morning, I noticed a receipt folded inside Emma's diary. It wasn't for groceries. It wasn't for clothes. It was from a small coffee shop across town. The date caught my attention. It was the morning before the accident. Emma never went there. Not once in the 12 years we'd been married. Curious, I opened her bank statement. There it was. A coffee purchase. 2 drinks. Not one. She had met someone. But who? The next afternoon, I drove to the cafe with the receipt in my pocket. I didn't expect much. The young woman behind the counter apologized. "I'm sorry, sir. We don't keep CCTV footage that long." I nodded, disappointed. As I turned to leave, an older waiter stopped me. "I remember your wife," he said quietly. My heart skipped a beat. "You do?" He looked at the photo on my phone and nodded. "She came here with a man. They talked for almost an hour." My stomach tightened. "What did he look like?" The waiter frowned, trying to remember. Mid-40s, dark coat, beard. He seemed nervous. They weren't arguing, but it was a serious conversation. "Did you hear anything?" "Only one sentence." I leaned closer. The waiter lowered his voice. Your wife said, if I tell him now, he'll never forgive me. Everything around me seemed to stop. Who was she talking about? Me? And what was she planning to tell me? The waiter shook his head. I'm sorry. That's all I remember. I thanked him and walked back to my car. For the first time since Emma's death, I questioned everything I thought I knew. Was she hiding something from me? Or was she trying to protect me? As I started the engine, my phone buzzed. It was another message from an unknown number. There were only 7 words. Stop asking questions, or Lily is next. My hands went numb. I read the message again. Stop asking questions, or Lily is next. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then instinct took over. I rushed home faster than I ever had before. Every red light felt like an hour. Every passing car looked suspicious. When I finally pulled into the driveway, Lily was sitting on the front steps with our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Carter. The moment I saw her safe, I nearly collapsed. I hugged her so tightly she laughed. Dad, I can't breathe. It was the first time I'd heard her laugh since the accident. But I couldn't smile. Someone knew I was digging into Emma's death. Someone knew where my daughter lived. That night, I showed the message to Sergeant Collins. His expression changed immediately. This isn't a joke anymore, he said. The number had been created through an anonymous online service. No name, no address, no useful trail. They arranged extra patrols near the house. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be enough. Whoever sent that message wanted one thing: to scare me into giving up. Instead, it had the opposite effect. The next morning, I searched through Emma's office at home. Behind a row of old books, I found a small metal box I had never seen before. It wasn't locked. Inside were insurance papers, family photos, and a sealed envelope with my name written on the front. My heart pounded as I opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. Daniel, if you're reading this, something has gone terribly wrong. I froze. Emma had written this before she died. She went on to explain that, a few weeks earlier, she had discovered financial records that didn't make sense at the company where she worked. Millions of pounds had been moved between accounts. When she questioned it, her manager told her to forget what she'd seen. She couldn't. She copied the files onto a small USB drive. Her final words on the page made my blood run cold. If anything happens to me, it wasn't because of the car. The truth is on the USB, and someone will do anything to get it. I searched the box again. The USB drive wasn't there. Someone had already taken it. The empty space in the box terrified me more than the letter itself. Someone had found the USB before I did, which meant one of two things. Either they already had the evidence, or they were still looking for it. I read Emma's letter over and over, hoping I had missed a clue. Then one sentence stood out. If I don't tell you everything now, it's because I need to be certain first. Certain of what? I searched every room in the house again. Closets, drawers, bookshelves, even the attic. Hours passed with nothing to show for it. Late that evening, Lily walked into the living room carrying a small stuffed rabbit. Dad, she said quietly. Mom told me to keep this safe. I smiled weakly. That's your favorite toy? She nodded. No, Mom said never let anyone take it. A chill ran through my body. I gently took the rabbit from her hands. It felt heavier than I remembered. My fingers searched along one of the seams. There it was, a tiny zipper almost invisible beneath the fur. I slowly opened it. Inside was a black USB drive. Emma had hidden it where no one would think to look. For a few seconds, I simply stared at it. This tiny piece of plastic had cost Emma her life. I plugged it into my laptop. A password screen appeared. I tried Lily's birthday. Nothing. Our wedding date. Nothing. Then I remembered the first place Emma had ever taken me. A quiet beach where I had asked her to marry me. I typed the date. The screen unlocked. Folders filled the display. Bank transfers, private emails, signed documents, hidden payments. The deeper I looked, the worse it became. This wasn't just one dishonest manager. It was an organized fraud involving millions of pounds. And several powerful people were connected to it. My phone suddenly rang. Unknown number. I answered without thinking. A calm voice spoke. You found the USB. I said nothing. We've been watching you, Daniel. My blood ran cold. Then the voice whispered one final sentence. Look out your window. My heart pounded as I looked through the window. A black car was parked across the street. The engine was running. The headlights were off. Whoever was inside wasn't there by accident. I grabbed the USB, unplugged my laptop, and told Lily to put on her shoes. We left through the back door and went straight to Sergeant Collins. This time, I didn't bring questions. I brought proof. He inserted the USB into a secure computer. As the files opened, the room fell silent. Every transfer, every fake company, every hidden payment, it was all there. Within hours, detectives from a national financial crime unit took over the investigation. The people involved had spent years stealing millions and hiding the money through fake businesses. Emma had discovered the truth. When she refused to stay quiet, someone sabotaged her car to make her death look like an accident. The anonymous messages, the missing USB, the threats against Lily, everything suddenly made sense. Over the next few months, several arrests were made. The people responsible were finally brought to justice. No sentence could bring Emma back, but at least the truth no longer died with her. One evening, nearly a year later, Lily and I visited Emma's grave. The wind moved gently through the trees. Lily placed fresh flowers beside the headstone. Then she looked up at me. "Mom would be proud of you." I smiled through tears. "No," I said softly. "She was the brave one." For a long time, I believed I had lost everything because I missed one phone call. I carried that guilt every single day. But Emma's last recording had been right. One missed call didn't define my life. The choices I made afterward did. I couldn't save her. I never will. But I could protect our daughter. I could fight for the truth. And I could make sure the people who stole her future never stole anyone else's. Sometimes the hardest part of losing someone isn't saying goodbye. It's learning how to keep living without them. And every time my phone rings now, I answer it. Not because every call changes your life, but because one of them already changed mine forever.